Hello, it's John, Vintage Fisherman. Well, I just did a 716, and this is a 2052. They are comparable reels. If you look at them, they're very similar in design, from about the same age group. This is a DA code on this Shakespeare 2052. We call these, those of us in the old vintage fishing reel business, we call these Royal Maroons. And they're very good reels. They're built just like the pin. You're going to see when we take it apart. It's a lot like a pin on the inside. And I don't know who copied who. Don't really care. This one's locked up. The bail's good, but it will not crank over. So we might have our hands full on this one. I have a feeling it's got a bad bearing. It could just be grease choked. Now, oh boy, this one's got a little bit of corrosion in it. These reels, the drag's not really serviceable in them. They put a strange little keeper dude on here. And yeah, I can get them out. And I'm going to get it out because I definitely want to service this reel, this drag, because I'm planning on using this thing. So that's what I'm trying to articulate here. They are difficult to get apart. You got to kind of work those little ears up. Sometimes they can be darn near impossible. There she goes. She's going to let me get her now. She was like, I don't think you're going to take me apart, big guy. Okay, I know where it went. It almost took my eyeball out. That's always nice. Here's your drag. It's a good drag system. It's just not easily serviceable because of that crazy daggone thing they've got in there. So, see how they got this. It is a very good drag, though. I'm complaining really over nothing. There it is. And let me go find that washer. I thought I heard it get over here. Yeah. I'll find it. It's not necessary to put that in there unless you're going to be taking this spool off on the water. But if I can't find it, it's not the end of the deal with this reel. I can work with it. Okay, let's move along. I'll find that later. Take the handle off. It has a reverse winding handle that you take off there. There's a washer underneath that. This one, the little dust shield comes off. And you can get nasty, dirty parts in this thing, I can tell you that. We'll take these 3 screws off. I have to usually use a precision screwdriver on that. Well, it's dry. It's dry as the Mojave Desert. It's locked up on the handle shaft. That may actually be a good thing. We'll pull this pin out right here. Yep. Wow. I don't want to come out of there. All right, that's out. It's actually, this is what's locked up. Let's just push this whole thing out. If it will come out, it may not. This is fun stuff, man. This is fun stuff. We're gonna try. All I'm doing is tearing my daggone screwdriver up. All right, I digress. Let's move on to the. We'll come back. This is a fun one. I'm glad I've got this one here this morning. I've had enough coffee. I might be able to deal with this shit. All right. There's usually a lock tabs that you got to bend down, but this one's already been bent down. So I imagine somebody's tried to come in here and fix this thing. But what you do to knock those down, you take an old screwdriver that I've already beat the snot. Look, it's falling apart on me. It's not supposed to do that, but it is a cheap screwdriver. So. Okay, let's just go to another screwdriver. So you would take a screwdriver and put on that little tab and just kind of tap it down, and it opens it up where the nut will come. It basically just comes right off. It shouldn't be in there super, super tight. Okay. We'll take the rotor apart in a minute. We can't get the shaft out until we get this guy out. So, okay, this will work. Now let's try this again. Okay, this is the definition of stuck hard right here. This is stuck hard. Okay, it's not going to move any further than that. I don't want to bend this reel, you know what I mean? It's coming out. So the whole reel was locked up on this handle shaft. This is fun. Sometimes you have to take drastic measures. Okay. We got there is a shim underneath here. Here is your anti-reverse gear. It goes in like that. There's a recess on one side and not on the other. The recess goes towards the housing. This reel was completely locked up right there, right in there. I'm going to polish that with some emery cloth. It'll be fine. There's nothing wrong with this reel. It was just so locked up you couldn't crank it. Normally these come off pretty easily, but this one's kind of giving me a little bit of a fit here. I don't have to get that off of there. I can clean it without. I'm going to leave that alone. I'm afraid I'm going to break it, but I can clean that with it on there. So we're good there, okay? To get the main shaft out of here, you got to take a snap ring out. So, well, I've got snap ring pliers. Oh, these are the wrong snap ring pliers. Let's see what else we got over here that ain't right. Oh, here we go. Put your snap ring pliers down there. Now watch this thing. It'll go flying to the same freaking place that other part did. There we go. Snap ring pliers. These are Craftsman's 38079. I use them on a lot of reels. and slide it out. And that bearing is still good, folks. And that's a good thing. These bearings are easy to get. It's a common size bearing. You can order it from, well, I gave up on Boca. I don't order their bearings anymore, but you can get it off. You can find one, some of the other bearing sites. If you put the oil on there and let it sit there, it'll soak in. Also, this leather washer comes off of here. I'm not going to take this off. Leave it just like it is. This reel was dry. That was the only thing wrong with this reel. Just completely dry. Good out here. No problems there. This unscrews by hand. But let's take it loose right here first. If this roller's not locked up, we're home free on this reel. Sometimes these rollers lock up on these older spinning reels. Oh, it's good. And something I will note on the Shakespeares, they have a Teflon bushing underneath the roller. That's really nice. That comes out. It just falls out. You can unscrew this. Then your only thing you left to take apart is this one screw. You can flip this right here, and that takes all tension off the spring. Love that about the Shakespeare Royal Maroons. Very easy to service the bell springs. You don't have to worry about that thing flying all over the place. I think I just did a 2062 not too long ago. I sell a lot of these reels. I keep a couple. I'm not going to take the bell trip out. So that reel is apart and it's ready to be cleaned. I told you they were a lot like a 716 on the inside or a 714. The Royal Maroons went all the way out to Surfside size reels, and they're made just like the pins. Not identical. They're not like a rebrand or something, but they're made very, very similar. So I'm going to clean this up and I'll be back. Okay, this is John. I'm back. I've got this Royal Maroon, Shakespeare Royal Maroon 2052. I've already put the counterweight on it. We're going to try to put the spool or the rotor back together. I had a little bit of an issue. The bell spring broke, so I had to make a bell spring for it. And I could go into all that, but I'm not going to right now. It's a little bit of an art to making a bell spring, not gonna lie. So I will order the right bell spring for it. This is simply for sole purposes of getting this reel back together. Okay. It's still not going back. All right, that'll work. Not happy with it, but it'll work. Then you'll put your hook, you'll hook your bell wire down in there. You've got a little bit of light oil in your bushing. See, got a little plastic bushing or nylon bushing. Some more light oil, and then your roller. And that's the part of it they do a little bit better than pin. They've got that liner and that roller, and that really makes a difference. Right. Tighten that down. You tighten it to the roller. Should be good. Go. All right, I think we got it. Let's see if it fires. Yeah, it's not perfect. You see, it's got a little slop. We're gonna have to get the right bell spring for it, but that's okay for now. I just don't have a bell spring in stock. If it was a pin reel, I would have the bell spring in stock. This is not a pin. I'll have to order one off of eBay. So, okay, not the end of the world. Life goes on. I see that I missed some gunk up in there. We'll get that gunk out. Doesn't take much to lock a reel up. This is a really good example because it was locked up. All right, I always put a little bit of grease up in the bearing pocket, and then in the bushing. Well, actually, the Royal Maroon doesn't have a bushing, but it's got a hole there that the gear goes in, and you put your bearing on your gear. Let's check the bearing out. Don't see any problems there. Put that in. Put a little more grease on that. Push it home. Snap ring is in next. Our Craftsman snap ring pliers is all I've ever used. Okay. Now your rotor can go on. This little lock has ears on it. You put it in there and you rotate your rotor around until it lines up on the slots on that lock, where it's that aligns with the slots on the rotor. And then you just tighten it down. That don't look right. Take it back off. So this nut has a go on either way, and I'm thinking this is the proper way. Doesn't want to start thread for whatever reason. Here we go. You don't have to tighten it real tight. Now's where these needle pliers come in handy. Tweezer pliers. You get a hold of one of those ears. Bend it up. That locks the nut in place. Let's make sure, because I did scuff that a little bit. Okay. Now you got your anti-reverse cog, and there's a shim. Hold on, it's pretty nasty. All right, so you put that shim on that shaft. This was the part of the reel that was locked up, the shaft. Well, this and the cross line. We'll put a little bit heavier oil on there. We'll see how it goes together. I did not polish this thing up, so we'll see how it goes. We do that. Let's put some grease on it. This is the last reel that I will be building here at this house. A little bit sad, but my wife passed. I don't need this big of a house. Girlfriend and I both had houses. We don't need to be paying for two houses. I don't stay in together. And so, time to pack it up. I've struggled to maintain a big old house on my pay, on my salary alone for a while now, and it's time to say goodbye to it. So, a little bit of grease down in that hole. Washer goes on there, then your cover, and we're gonna put some oil down in there. That in. The handles on the pins are a little bit better quality than on the Shakespeare. Okay. Now we're ready for shaft, or they call it an axle shaft. That will go in. Line it up, line that pinhole up. Sometimes you got to use a small screwdriver. It, put this pin in like that. Take my screwdriver and tighten this lever down a little bit. We'll grease all this up good. And put the cover on. Three screws on the cover. These old reels are not watertight. So if you're using one in salt water, not good. If you're using one in fresh water and it gets immersed, you'll probably need to take it home and take it apart, dry it out really, really good. New reels are pretty well sealed with rubber gaskets and O-rings and stuff. There it is. Remember, it was locked up when I had it here on the bench starting out. There, it's working perfectly now. Okay, let's put the spool back together. First thing is this leather washer that goes down here on the shaft or axle. That goes first. Put it back the way it came out. Make sure I got the right one in there. Washer, heat washer, washer, geared washer, washer, heat washer. Now, to put this back in, remember I had to pry it out of there. It goes back in. Don't hesitate to try. The best way to do it, find a socket. Fits over just like that. Get it lined up. And try to straighten it up as you go down. There it is. Put your spool back on. A little bit of grease. Drag knob. And there it is. Other than a messed up bell spring, which I will order here in just a minute. It works, but that shouldn't be. It should be snapped over. Because what will happen if it's loose like that and a fish hits it, the bell spring can't overcome the line tension. It will pull out and it will actually bail. It'll spool itself out. That's not good. But it's for functionality. Looks is good. This reel is it's really a user quality reel. It's not a show quality reel. But if you look at this reel in comparison to the pin, they're very similar in size. Very similar in build. Drag is 6 one way, a half a dozen another. I like the single disc drag up here and the quick release spool, but there's nothing at all wrong with the stacked plate type design on this one. The line roller is better on the Shakespeare than it is on the pin. They both have one ball bearing. This one even says ball bearing on it. So that's a factory from a sticker from the factory. So there it is. Hey, that was my last video on this workbench. How about that? I did these 3 today. 308. Similar in size to these. Totally different design for the 308, for the Mitchell. Totally different design on the gearbox, but equally as tough. Those are 3 of the toughest ultralight reels made. I would put the Dam Microlight the Dam Microlight or the Dam 110 are both about the same size. They would go in this group right here as tough. I mean, like, you're going to fight a fish way bigger than this reel should fight. Or this reel. Or this reel. This reel is incredible. I'm not going to lie. The Penn Spin Fisher series, all the way from the original greenies up to the 4-digit SSs, like 4200 SS. Those are phenomenal reels. These are really good. They didn't make that. They made a bunch of them, but they didn't make them for a few years. And I've seen these things go in price from, they're like cycles. I've seen them as low as you can't give them away, to sometimes you'll try to buy one and people are wanting $100 for this reel right here. I could see that new in a box maybe, but I'm talking about $100 for a user quality reel. These reels right now are going for about $75. If it's in a box, you will get $125. These reels right now are down. Yeah, they're down in price. I don't know why, because the 308s and 408s, the 408's the high-speed version. Good reels. Well, anyway, that's me rambling. This is John, Bench Fisherman. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. Please like this video. And make any comments you got, as long as they're positive. I don't need to hear anything negative in life. Been through enough of that lately. Thanks. Appreciate y'all.